Welcome to Plastic Model Mojo, a podcast dedicated to scale modeling, as well as the news and events around the hobby, where we hope to be informative and entertaining and help you keep your modeling mojo alive. Hello, fellow modelers. This is Mike, and I'd like to welcome you to episode 3 of Plastic Model Mojo. We wish all of you a happy new year and hope that your modeling mojo is alive and kicking as we roll into 2020. And Dave and I plan on discussing our aspirations for the new modeling year in our special segment. So let's get started. Well, Dave, we're back again for episode 3. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Glad to be with it. Glad to see that we've gotten at least 3 episodes in. That's good news.
We'll have to figure out where to put a stake in the ground for the quote-unquote season, because this will be 3, so we really have to do 9 more and call it a year, right?
Well, I got news for you. I'm having a great time doing this. I'll do as many of them as we want.
All right. Well, you enjoying any libations tonight?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I am. After a brief detour to Scotland, last episode, we are back in the heart of Kentucky, drinking the official brown liquid of everyone in Kentucky. I'm having a bourbon. It's Old Forester Statesman bourbon. Old Forester is a mid-shelf bourbon, pretty much equivalent to the Bullet that you drank, or say Maker's Mark. It's all in that same range. The distillery did a crossover cross-marketing thing with the movie that was released a year or 2 ago called Kingsman's Knights of the Golden Circle, which was the second Kingsman movie. And there was kind of a bourbon tie-in to it, and they hooked up with Old Forester. And as part of the cross-promotions, Old Forester released the Old Forester Statesman. Normal Old Forester's 100 proof. The Statesman's 95, so it's a little less hot. It's very smooth. They claim on their website that it has kind of a spicy taste. I'm not sure I'd necessarily agree with that, but it is a very good bourbon for drinking straight or drinking over ice, and I gotta say, it's quite enjoyable. How about you? What is your modeling fluid for tonight?
Well, I'm not drinking bourbon, but I am still stuck in Indiana.
Uh-oh.
I told you to have a wheat beer for you, but I was off an episode because I got that other bourbon for the holidays. I am drinking a wheat beer from Three Floyds Brewery in Munster, Indiana, called Gumball Head.
Gumball Head?
Gumball Head.
And this
stuff is good.
Three Floyds Brewery. I have never heard of this place.
Really? Well,
yeah.
You need to up your beer game there, dude.
Where did you acquire this? Because I may have.
Well, I got this at Total Wine.
No, we've got them here.
So I don't know what big stores you got there, but they used to be kind of stingy with it, but their marketing's gotten a little better, and they're probably brewing a little more. So it's an excellent beer.
Well, we've got a Total Wine close by, so I will have to look at that. We'll put pictures of the modeling fluid of the episode in our social media feed. So
okay,
everybody,
and we're live finally.
Yes, I was going to mention. I was going to let you mention that, since you're responsible for a lot of that and getting us
Till it goes off the rails, then it's all you.
So you're just like my wife, is what you're telling me.
I guess. Well, you're the barrister.
Yeah. So but we'll put.
Yes, we canned a few episodes, like all the Start Your Own Podcast information out on the web tends to tell you to do, and we finally posted those to the website, and they're starting to filter into some of the directories now. Still working on iTunes, still working on Google. Google will happen on its own, but it's going to take a little while. But I think we're on Spotify and Stitcher right now, or the website, however you want to listen. And just started the social media barrage, and hopefully we'll pull in a bunch of people here pretty quick and see what happens.
That's like I said, as part of this, we'll post photos of our modeling fluids of the episode, and we'll get those up on the social media sites. But Mike, do you have anything to celebrate in regard to your current modeling projects?
Yes, I do. Mike Basket actually finished a model.
Hang on, I may need to call 911. Oh my
You
gosh!
might, and I might have to cut in some crowd cheer when
Here you
we
go.
edit this.
So
the P-
we'll go ahead and tell us.
the PT-76 has crossed the finish line. Now, cross the finish line for this one means that it's all construction and painting is complete on it. Before it has a chance to go to a show, probably it's going to get based, but we'll save that for another day. The actual model is done, and I'm really, really pleased with it. I learned a lot of new stuff doing it because that was the whole point. 10 years ago, when I started this thing as a paint mule, I bought all this stuff to try, because, Miguel Jimenez was kind of avant-garde 10, 11 years ago, and all his associates and people trying to mimic what he was doing. And, some of it I liked and some of it I didn't, but it was really a new way to do things. So I started down that road, and, it just didn't go anywhere. My modeling just kind of fell by the wayside for a whole lot of reasons. And I finally, this same reason this podcast has gotten started. I started missing it and missing all you guys in the club. And I'd started listening to the Scale Model podcasts from Stuart and Anthony out of Canada, and then On the Bench from the guys down in Australia. And it's like, I need to finish something. I need to get back into this, because it was something I hung my hat on, and it was just such a part of my life that I want to get back in it big time as best I could. So, as you know, a few months ago, I started kicking this thing around again, and I guess you've been a pretty good cheerleader, and I've kept it moving. And then the holiday break really kind of created the swell to get it done, and I'd hope to have it done a little earlier, but I went back to work last week, but the kids go back to school tomorrow. So it's done at the end of holiday break, right to the wire. So I just set it down, cleaned up my bench, backed up, and took a few pictures that we'll post, and started thinking about the new year.
That's fantastic.
That's where I'm at with the PT. So
that's something to raise our glasses of modeling fluid to. Congratulations.
Well, thank you. Hopefully that's not the only one for 2020.
Amen.
I hear your project has rounded the final turn as well.
As a matter of fact, the Oka that I spoke about on episode 2 is ready. All I have to do is peel off the canopy paint masks, and I might do something with a weathering pencil or two very lightly. But yeah, it's for all intents and purposes, it's done, or will be done after this episode. I tried some new paint, some Mission Models paint. I tried one or two new techniques, and I enjoyed it. It feels good. There is nothing that gets your modeling mojo going like actually finishing something. And this is not true just in modeling, but pretty much in everything in life. Success breeds success. When you finish something, there's satisfaction that goes along with it. You get fired up to want to repeat the high that you're getting from finishing a project. And so hopefully we can both be further inspired to finish some other things.
I hope so. So, we'll talk about it in our special segment tonight. We've got some things to look forward to.
Amen.
But for now, we're looking forward to new releases and what's looking interesting out there and not so much. It was funny. We were dogging the tank transporters in the last episode, and as soon as we went live, Pete from the club chimed in about how he liked tank transporters. So there's your guy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's Pete. Hey. Well, he's not
That's
the
pretty
only
funny. Oh, I know. I just thought it was funny. And, he's got a good sense of humor. So,
yeah. Or he'll hunt us down and kill us, one or the other.
that's already hunt us down and kill us.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's January now, and we've got all the releases that came out of December, and here maybe a couple the first of the year. But let's start with your favorite, man. Is there anything so far that has got you really interested?
Yeah, there is. When we were doing the episode talking about the holes that needed to be filled in modeling, I mentioned how we needed a good early model Wildcat in 72nd scale, an F4, F3. Well, we didn't get that announced, but another hole in the Wildcat family for 72nd scale modeling is at the other end, what's called the FM2, which was the last version of the Wildcat produced. It was the most widely produced Wildcat. And there was one or two very short run kits, but nothing very modern. And then out of the blue in December, a company named Arma out of Poland announced that they were going to produce an FM2. This was a little surprising because Arma's out of Poland, and they have so far generally stuck with aircraft that have a Polish tie-in, either Polish aircraft or aircraft flown by Polish pilots with the Russians or the British. In fact, everyone expects eventually we're going to get a P-51BC out of them.
Now, are they the company that did has got the really early Hurricanes?
Yes, the Tin Wing Hurricane Mark Ones. Airfix did the first Hurricanes, which were what we call the Ragwing Hurricane Mark Ones, and everybody expected them to follow up with a Tin Wing Mark One, but they never did. And so the 72nd scale community was kind of despairing, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, Arma announced it. And Arma's a very young model company, but they don't seem to have had the learning curve that a lot of these young Eastern European model companies have had. I mean, their stuff was fantastic from the get-go. Edward quality for all of their models. Their Tin Wing Hurricane is extremely popular and really, really nice. So that gives us, in the modeling community, in the 72nd scale community, a high hope that this FM2 is going to be the model of that version, and we've needed it. And so I'm really happy to see it. So what did you see that announced?
Trumpeter and Hobby Boss put out their 2020 catalog sheets a couple weeks ago. There's no BT5 in there unless I missed it. However, there's something tempting in there. I don't know, man. It is a Sturmgeschütz 3, but added to their 1/16th scale line.
Ooh.
Which is probably my favorite German vehicle of all time. And that is really tempting. And it won't be cheap, so we'll have to just see how much it actually costs. But that is really interesting.
Yeah, I know Tacom did.
I had one. Go ahead.
Tacom did a number of 16th scale small Japanese tankette and an FT-17.
Yes, and I think somebody, Panda maybe has a 38T.
Oh, really?
in 16th scale. Somebody makes a plastic 38T in 16th scale. But anyway, this is, big scale. But big scale I think is tough because, and they were talking about this on Scale Model podcast one time about the large scale stuff. Anthony was, and I think the issue, it's the whole toy like
I agree
stigma,
completely.
and I think the issue is there's a lot of the weathering tricks we use in 35th scale and 72nd scale and 48th scale are eye tricks, right?
Yeah,
Which you get above 35th scale, 32nd scale, it just doesn't work anymore. It looks like a tank that somebody's put a wash on,
right?
Instead of shadows. And the weathering aspects of it get a lot tougher. But wow, I've always been interested in a large scale Sturmgeschütz because I can't remember what year, way back at the IPMS National Convention, it's in one of the Achtung Panzer paperback reference books, the Sturmgeschütz one, obviously, but it's what scale? It's GI Joe scale. What's that? 1/9?
1/6 or 1/9?
One sixth scale, but it's a scratch built Sturmgeschütz G in that scale, and it was, considering the era it was built in, was pretty stinking phenomenal. So to have one in 16th scale kind of interests me. I don't know if I'll buy it. I'll wait till it comes out, and probably Dave Parker will build one, and I won't want to after that because it'll never look as good as his.
Yeah, that's a bad effect that it can have looking at other people's models. But I agree with you completely. The problem with 16th scale or the larger scales, the same thing happens when you get up into 24th scale aircraft. You start to run into that toy effect. And in addition to that, you there are details that your eye fills in the smaller scales, where
Yes.
in the large scale it actually has to be there, and that can mean a lot more work if you're working in 16th scale, because that may mean you have to add a lot of things, particularly if you're gonna show details.
Well, what do you got that's not too exciting?
Well, okay, you can't hurt me on this one. It actually pairs with something I'm excited about. Airfix Airfix announced their 2020 release items for release. Um, Actually, it got leaked a day or two early. I think they're officially announcing on Monday, January 6th. But in what they've announced, they announced a 72nd scale Sherman Firefly, which I'm very excited about. But combined with that, they announced a 72nd scale Tiger One. I like the Tiger One, but yeah, it's not exactly like there aren't Tiger Ones out there from several different companies, even in 72nd scale. In 35th scale, I think it's required that any company that manufactures armor models is required to have a Tiger One kit, at least one. And so, I'm from a marketing standpoint, it's probably going to be a good seller for them. It's probably going to be good for them. For me, the Tiger One's a yawn, although I will say I do want to build the Firefly. So,
There's
what
just
have you noticed out
plenty
there?
of tigers out there.
Yeah, there are. So, what
Too
made
many.
you yawn?
Mini art.
I like mini art.
So do I. And may talk a little bit more about mini art in our special segment, but they've released another figure set. It's the same 4 or 5 Russian guys eating, except now they've boxed them with table and chairs and what's the copper teapot? Samovar, is that right? The
Samovar, yeah. Oh, I saw that
tea
release.
kettle. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay, I guess. Made me yawn. I guess because I have this figure set with at least one anti-tank gun kit, and I think I bought the figure set alone, and now, hey, you can buy it again if you like. And I
So
bet all this furniture is available in a different box.
they're kind
Maybe
of
not, but
recycling.
it keeps getting recycled. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not a recycle fan, at least not for models.
yeah, yeah. So, have you been spending
You,
money?
oh God, Dave, I've been real bad.
Uh-oh. Tell me
I
about
need
it.
to go to model confessional.
Well, I don't think your family listens to this, so we'll keep
Not
it.
yet. I mean, they're asking now. We're live. Hey, can we listen to it?
Don't. You shouldn't have told. My wife doesn't even know we're doing this. I don't want them
That's
knowing.
gonna suck when we get famous and you can't enjoy it.
Yeah, if you think we're getting famous off this, I'm afraid.
Gonna rain in my parade here.
Yeah, I got bad news for you. So, what did you spend money on?
Oh man, I bought. Well, it started a while back, but the stuff that started a while back didn't arrive till after this purchase. I came into Louisville last week and we had lunch, and then I went by Brian's Scale Reproductions, probably one of the finest brick and mortar hobby stores, I think. I don't know,
Agreed.
east of the Mississippi, at least in the
Yep.
South or pseudo South. And he's having his post holiday, post Christmas 10% off sale. And I just happen to be a member of the Military Modelers Club of Louisville, so I already start at 10% off. So he's like, find something good. You got 20% club members. I'm like, oh man, this is going to be great.
He's
So
good
I
at
bought a, he is good at that. That's why he's in business.
Amen.
I bought a Hobby Boss Soviet T50 light tank. I've been eyeing that one a while. I've got some really cool photographs taken in Russia, obviously, of a really shot up one that's crashed through one of those really ornate Russian picket fences. And it was photographed a lot. We talked about the German eBay photo reference source in the last episode, but this is a prime example. I've archived several photographs of this particular vehicle. It was photographed at one time, and then there was another photograph taken later that actually got vintage colorized, the watercolor type colorization they used to do. And then lo and behold, some months or years later, some traveling theater troupe in the rear areas was in that area and took all these poses of like these two German ladies and a couple of German guys, civilians, actors, part of this theater troupe, climbing all over this thing and taking more photographs. And there weren't many of these tanks to begin with. So
it's amazing that it was still there. You would have thought that it gotten hauled off to be scrapped or recycled or something.
Not yet. And you see that a lot of vehicles by major travel routes tended to get photographed a lot. So you see a lot of the same KV2s over and over again being photographed. But anyway, I bought this T50 from Brian. I didn't have any of the AK real color paints yet, so I bought a box set of the 4 Soviet colors. It's got the standard 4BO green, and then it's got a second green, and then the sand and brown camouflage colors, used for the hard edge pre-war kind of, well, not necessarily pre-war, but the underappreciated and a lot less understood Soviet schemes of the era. So I look forward to giving those a try sometime. I don't know when, because my next project that's going to be Russian green is already painted. And then I also bought something else. I think it's Trumpeter. Trumpeter makes tools, right?
Yes.
I bought this little T-square because I use T-squares a lot.
Yep.
But all I have are the big drafting style, which have about the head on them's about an 1/8 inch thick, so that you can't really cut sheet styrene and stuff like that with them because they stand too tall, right?
Right.
Or you got to hang it over the edge of the table or something like that. But I bought this little bitty one. It's like 6 inches long and it's got a real thin profile. Man, I'm gonna use the heck out of that thing.
Yeah.
In addition to that, I bought three 72nd scale aircraft. 3 72nd scale aircraft.
So, Dish.
So I've always had a soft spot for float planes. Like the Arado AR-196 and the Kingfisher, and there's some really funky French looking ones I can't even name off the top of my head right now. But
Laticore 298, Lore 130.
Yeah, the Lore, yes. See, you're good at this. These planes on catapults are a really, really neat looking scale model. So I've gotten tempted. There's a couple of projects I've got in mind, and one of them involves Kingfisher. And you made me aware that AZ Models was trying to release this Kingfisher for some time. Well, it finally hit. And I bought this. There's a Facebook page. AZ Models has a Facebook page. And there's a guy on there, Scott Bell, I think. And he's the one of the U.S. distributors or representatives of this company, and he had $50 or more free shipping. So there's a couple other things I was interested in. So I ended up with the float plane, the U.S. Navy version of the Kingfisher, brand new release, and then I got 2 P-51Bs. I got a straight line cockpit, the first one.
Yeah.
And then I got a Malcolm Hood one. It's Old Crow is what it is, but you can do a couple other ones out of the box. But it's Old Crow's the box art. And I tell you something, I'm probably going to build one of the P-51s first, probably the straight top canopy one. Mm-hmm. Those are really sharp little kits. Yeah. I was really impressed for the scale and it just pretty neat little kits. Detail looks pretty good. Instructions are good. Decals are freaking phenomenal.
Yeah. The kit was released about 2 to 3 years ago, so it's a very, very modern kit.
Well, it was released actually under a different company name. It's KP, but not the old CoPro KP, but there's a later incarnation. Right. I can't remember, but AZ has the rights to all those kits now.
Exactly. Yeah. And they bought the CoPro, the KP, the intellectual property for KP, and then they're releasing a lot of kits. But AZ did that P-51 BC around 2-3 years ago, so it's a very modern kit. You shouldn't have much in the way of difficulty with it.
You're talking to an armor guy.
Yeah, well, we'll work. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. It's okay. It's okay.
What about you? I know you didn't. Brian will have a sale next year. I'll just wait. That didn't happen, did it?
Well, actually, I did something that we are now going to officially call from here on out a basket, because I went into Brian's and I stocked up on consumables on his very same sale. I bought another bottle of Unicorn Tears, the Mr. Color Leveling Thinner 400. I bought a refill roll of the 10 millimeter Tamiya tape. I go through that, particularly the 10 millimeter stuff. I go through that pretty darn quick. And there are some knockoff versions, but I'll tell you, given the price and all, and I really like the actual stuff from Tamiya. So I picked that up. And then I picked up, are you familiar with Molotov? They make chrome silver pens.
No, not at all.
Liquid paint pens. They're people are using them for like oleo struts and very bright silver parts on particularly 72nd scale models. Um, well, they they make a pen. Uh, it's kind of a pump action pen at the end, down at the tip, and it's liquid masker. Um, it's blue like a lot of other liquid maskers. Uh, but I saw it there and, on a whim said, I'm going to get it and give it a shot. So, again, pulling a basket, not only did I get it, I decided to test it out on a paint mule before actually using it.
Oh, there
Um,
you go.
a lot of the liquid maskers, one of the problems is they're ammonia based, and if you've got future or an acrylic paint, they'll lift your paint, or they'll fog the future if you're putting it over a future finish, like on a dipped canopy. Um, so I experimented with this. First of all, um, that pump tip. I got the fine version of the tip, which they call 2 millimeter. Um, it really does allow you to lay down a very fine line of masker. Um, it's very much like using an actual pen. Um, and so I tested it out on a paint mule that had some future over a section of it with paint. And so I put the masker down, waited a day, sprayed over it with some mission models paint, and then went back up, and after the mission models had dried, and lifted the liquid masker off. It lifted beautifully and easily. It did not affect the mission models paint, nor did it affect the future finish under it in any way. I'm going to run some more experiments, but right now I'm very pleased and interested. So, yeah, I pulled a basket. I bought consumables.
Well, if you're building a lot of stuff, then you go through them.
That's right.
It's not like having a consumable stash.
Yeah, no, that's a bad idea.
Though that can happen with paint.
Tell me about it. I've
I
got
think I'm going to start a paint. I'm going to start a paint line next year.
Yeah, I was going to say everybody else has. Why not?
Everybody.
I swear to you, I think I have paints from at least 15 or 20 different paint lines.
Yeah, I probably do. I just refrain. I like the ones I got, so
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yep.
That's all you bought?
You
did good.
I did good. I did good.
Yeah, post holidays, I didn't do that good.
You had money burning a hole in your pocket,
I guess, even though I didn't get any for Christmas.
Oh.
All right. Well, that's all we bought. Let's get on to our special segment for episode 3. We've got a new year here, and we've got our 2020 modeling dreams and aspirations, and what we, at least Dave and I, hope to accomplish in the next 12 months. Now that we got our soon to have our first finished projects under our belt. So.
Yeah. Well, they're not first ever finished, but the first.
No, it's not even the first week of January, man. We're killing it.
Yeah, but if you run the statistics out, we're going to finish about 52 models this year.
Pretty much.
I think there's
unless you look back to when I started mine, then I'll be dead before I finish another one.
Yeah, I think there's a statistical fallacy in there somewhere, but too few data points.
If I finished one, I can finish another one. But anyway, you're first.
So
2020. I don't care if it's models, shows. What do you hope to have going on your bench and your hobby involvement for the year 2020?
Well, I can tell you the first thing, and that is, I mentioned the last episode that Airfix had released that 72nd scale MiG-17. It's not officially out in the U.S. and won't be until like February or so, but I managed through the good offices of Mr. Bates to acquire one, and that will be one that I will start building as soon as I get my grubby little hands on it. And that's one I will finish in 2020, come heck or high water. I will.
All right, write it down, folks.
Yeah, write it down. That's right. That's a stone cold lock. I'm going to finish that one in 2020. So what are you going to do in 2020? What's one thing that
is that it? That's
no,
all you
well,
got?
I was going to go back and forth, but
Okay, that's fine.
so
Well,
give me your first.
like you, I have a car finishing the first lap, right?
Mhm.
I've got my Zis 2 anti-tank gun, my mini art kit I'm working on. It's been built a while, and it already has been base coated. So that could be another reasonably fast finish for 2020. I need to get that one done because I'm really reluctant to start another assembly project until I get that thing finished.
Gotcha.
Just because these projects start stacking up.
Yeah. I've got the shelf of doom to prove that.
Yeah, I got the shelf of doom. So I need to pull. That one's not the PT was definitely on the shelf of doom. This one's a little bit, maybe not so much, but it's a mini art kit. It's got a little photo etch that wasn't intended for that kit, but it all worked out. And it's painted. It's been primed and been painted, and it's ready. The weathering's ready to be started on it. So I need to start working on that. But we'll see how it goes because I just finished a model, and you finish it by finishing painting it typically.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that running right into another painting project doesn't derail me. Well, I'm really looking forward to starting putting parts together again and planning a project.
Well, our vast audience is going to want to see that thing finished by next episode.
Yeah, both of them. That's the audience, by the way, not our projects.
Yeah, exactly.
So you've got another one that's looking. It's about as far along as my anti-tank gun. Your missile.
Yep, the KS1 or AS1 in NATO version. Started it. I mentioned it in the first episode. I started it back. I bought it at the IPMS Nationals. Started it in Terry's hotel room at the show. It is very, very close to being done. It's pretty much the equivalent situation of where your Zis 2 is. And so it is possible that you and I could both have a second finished model within the next episode or two, in which case we're going to be building expectations, and I'm not sure we can live up to those expectations. But yeah, the AS1 is going to be done in 2020 for sure.
All right.
So
my Zis,
since your Zis is almost 90% of the way there anyway, what else are you going to do in 2020?
Well, at that point, I've got some decisions to make. I've got a little side project going on I've told you about. I'm a classic Airfix fan.
A lot of
not so much for the kit, not so much for the kits, I don't think, but for the box art. Probably. But anyway, I've got their little Morris tractor and Bofors 40 millimeter anti-aircraft gun that I've got the tractor built. It's just about done. I got about 2 more parts to put on it, and I need to finish putting the anti-aircraft gun together. Yeah, I don't know. That one's kind of just I started it to keep my hands moving. I wanted to build that one again because it's one of the favorite ones out of that line that I built in my youth, and it's one of their better 76th scale armor or military kits.
Mm-hmm.
And my goal was to not do anything to it, just build it out of the box, but use a high degree of modeling discipline as far as cleanup and assembly goes, just to because I haven't built a lot from the assembly side in a while, and I'd like to get my skills back up before I really start working on something that I really got a lot of vested interest in. So I may finish that. I may just keep chipping away at it. I want to do some more weathering experimentation on the little 76 scale tractor. So we'll see if that's it. But I'm looking to pick a new project for 2020, something more along the lines of the stuff I used to do.
Yeah.
And I've got several candidates,
So
and they're projects that have been.
is anything leading the pack as far as that goes?
Yeah, there's one in particular. My 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 way of approaching a project before, and you know this, is I would pick a subject I wanted to model, and the available kit was a means of getting there, but my goal was to build X, not somebody's kit of X, right?
Right.
So I want to build a BM13 Katyusha launcher on a Russian truck, on a ZIS 6 truck, which is a 3-axle truck. And I've been collecting references that kind of prompted my Prime Portal mention last episode in our web resources, because there's a absolutely huge photo essay of one, and I think it's the Leningrad Artillery Museum. It's a really well preserved vehicle, and to build that, well, you need a ZIS 6 truck, which there's a really crappy one. Basically, it's a ZIS 5, and they've thrown in what's an Eastern European kit to begin with, an older Eastern European kit, an old Allen Hobbies kit. And they've thrown in some really quick and dirty leaf springs and an extra wheel set to make it 6-axle, and they throw in the Katyusha launch system from the old Italeri kit. And it's a really pretty gnarly kit. It's just, I've seen it built up, and yeah, you get a pretty decent looking model, but I kind of wanted to, if I'm going to do this, going to do it the right way, or my right way, which is to improve on it as much as I can. So I picked up a ZIS 5 truck from Hobby Boss. See, I actually own a lot of Hobby Boss. I was dogging them for their BT5, but I actually own a pretty good stack of their kits. But I picked this ZIS 5 up, which is the 2-axle truck. And my original thought was I was going to have to graft their cab onto the old Allen Hobbies kit, and then use this Italeri launch system and a few other things to get this to work. But after I started looking at a lot of drawings, the ZIS 5 and ZIS 6 are the same length. It's the same chassis rails. They just split the back axle. Well, they didn't split it. They just mounted a tandem on the rear instead of a single station, which means I can use almost all of the Hobby Boss kit: the cab, the engine, the bonnet, the chassis, and get a pretty good start, and just use the launch bed from the Allen Hobbies kit. Now I'm down to just one part from that kit. And I've got their in from their Katyusha, the BM13 Katyusha from Allen Hobbies, they throw in the sprues from the old Italeri BM13 in. But Hobby Boss has redone that kit, so they have a launcher that looks like it's a lot better than the old Italeri one. So you can kind of see what I'm doing here. I'm modifying a ZIS 5 to a ZIS 6, and I'm using the bed off the Allen, and then this new launch system, and then Royal Models, the aftermarket company out of Italy, has done fans of these vehicles a huge favor. And I don't know if it's a new rocket or if they built up one of the Italeri rockets and really, really, really cleaned it up. Got all that, because it's 2 halves and then a fin, and they're really hard to clean up. I built one a long time ago, but they sell a box of rockets that all you have to do is saw the pour stub off of them, and there's no seams in them. They're cast as one piece, and they're really brilliant. They're really sharp. So all that thrown together, and you could get a really nice model of this vehicle. So that's my front runner.
That sounds like a project. Of course, then again, your old SU-76 brought on somebody. What was it? Tamiya releasing a brand new SU-76 after you sweated over yours forever. So maybe
Well,
as soon as you do this, Hobby
oh
Boss,
yeah, Hobby Boss will do it.
yeah,
Well, and Mini Art's got SU-76 too. So
yeah.
there's two out there
So you
now,
inspired two of them.
I guess. I don't want to be the guy that inspires new kits by their sweat equity.
Yeah, well, that's the way it works, man. I've seen that time and again.
Well, what are you looking forward to kicking off other than the MiG 17?
I am. I've got a couple of contenders. Um, One is a Edward Hellcat in 72nd scale. They released a new one back in 2012. It's a really nice kit. Um, you can, I don't know if you're familiar, in early 1945, the U.S. Navy had so many damn carriers that they went to what they call the geometrics or the G markings, where each aircraft carrier had a particular geometric sign, like a diamond or an arrow or whatever, so that the different aircraft could be distinguished as to what aircraft goes with what carrier. Um,
So they'd land on the right one.
yeah, so well, among other things, yeah. So you know the right one, and so uh, I've always wanted to do one of those aircraft. It's overall glossy blue. It would not be a difficult. It's a one color paint job. Uh, it screams out. Do you know what a blitz bow is, or a blitz build?
Well, other than it sounds like a fast build.
There's this thing that developed on the unofficial Airfix Modelers forum, and then it spread to a couple of other forums, called a blitzbow or blitzbill. And the concept was, you take a kit and build it, paint it, finish it, decal it, start to finish in 24 hours. I've actually done that twice, although I do what's called the WIMP's blitzbow, which is you divide it into two 12-hour sessions on successive days. And you, as part of this, you take pictures every hour or two of your progress, and you post them on whatever forum you're doing the blitz build on. People do interesting things, like they post the meals that they're having on their breaks, what beer they're drinking. A lot of people use interesting clocks, interesting and unusual clocks, like pocket watches, or a Mr. Peanut clock or whatever. It adds some interest to it.
Sounds like speed golf.
It is kind of like speed golf, and it's actually fun and can stimulate your modeling. You're not going to add a lot of details. You're not going to get a case of AMS. Um, but one of the keys to a successful blitzbow is a simple paint scheme, and a one color glossy blue scheme that the Navy used in 44-45 is perfect for one. In fact, one of the successful blitzbows I did was a Corsair in overall sea blue, glossy blue. And I've been thinking that I'd like to do the Edward kit. I've always wanted to do one in one of the geometric markings. And if I get an opportunity, I may do it as a blitz build, try and do it in two 12-hour back-to-back sessions over a weekend. So that's one of the things I'm thinking about. We'll see whether that happens or not. So how about you?
All right.
What else?
Other than other than projects, I'm hoping to get to a few MMCL club meetings this year and more than one show.
Are you bringing the PT to January's club meeting?
Well, the issue right now with Thursday night for me is kind of a non-starter, so it may come to the shop on a Saturday morning build session.
Gotcha.
I
Gotcha.
hope to make a handful of meetings this year, but I can't make promises. We got a conflict right now
Yeah.
on Thursday nights. But anyway, that's what I hope to do. And I don't know. I've been up to Columbus several times. I've traveled with Brian up there and helped him out back in the day. And if it used to be a good show, I assume it still
It is
is.
a good show. In fact, I'll be going January or February. I think it's the 14th or 12th or something like that. Um,
Yeah, I think it's the weekend before my other February obligations. So
maybe I can swing by and pick you up on the way to Columbus.
that, or I can meet you up at the interchange.
There you go. There you go. And as long as we stop at Hofbrau House on the way back. And
All
if,
right, I just see I made an error on our outline here, our cheat sheet. Actually, you've got the final segment
oh,
here,
that's
unless
all
you've
right.
got
I'll let
something
you
else
go
to
two.
talk about.
No, I'll let you go two in a row. Doesn't bother me. You hit
Okay.
the shout.
Well, what in the last month do you think is worthy of a little attention, so our folks can tune in and give it a shot, or purchase it, or check them out on the web, or whatever?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's funny that you and I both mentioned Brian and his sale because my shout out of the month is Brian Bunger at Scale Reproductions. Um, we all know that the hobby shops that we loved as kids and we loved when we got into the hobby are a disappearing thing. Running a successful hobby shop is difficult. Retail of any sort is difficult, but a hobby shop is particularly difficult. In fact, a long term hobby shop down in Pensacola called Bobby's just ended up closing after like 60 or 70 years. Um, and We both mentioned Brian. Brian has run a successful hobby shop. It's one that modelers from all over will tell you is one of the best model shops east of the Mississippi River. Um, he runs a good shop. It's well stocked, both with kits and consumables. He'll get you anything that's out there that you want, and in addition, he, as much as we tease him about being the Grand Nagus, a big Ferengi or whatever, um, he he actually he works with you. He'll cut you a deal on a special order. He will work to get you that difficult thing that's hard to find or that you're wanting, but don't want to try and purchase it from China or off the web somewhere. And as much as we tease him, he's been a great supporter of the club. So you know,
Absolutely, yeah. I was going to
I'm
mention that.
I am praying that he does not listen to this episode because, frankly, I'm not sure that we'll be able to tolerate the big head that it will give him. But my shout out this month or this episode goes to Brian Bunger at Scale Reproductions in Louisville, Kentucky. If you are in Louisville for passing through, you're here on business or whatever, look him up and go by his shop. I am telling you, you will not be, if you're a modeler, you will not be disappointed.
You'll find something. So yeah, if you're in town for whatever business, pleasure, our show, our invitational, or Wanderfest, even.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Boy, there's a podcast idea. Anyway, um,
Yeah.
yeah, Brian has been a stalwart in the club, and he's kind of gotten back into modeling again now that his kids are a little older. And is that right?
Yep. Yeah. He's
And
completed 3 or 4 models in the last year or two.
so that's always a good thing because he was pretty involved. I remember when I was there during the holidays, we rolled the clock back, and we figured that I first met him when I was an engineering student and was up in Lexington here, where I live permanently now. And, I talked about thumbing the backside of fine scale modeler and looking to see what was going on. And lo and behold, not only was a shop in there, but there just happened to be a show coming up when MMCL used to have the show out the old Executive West.
Yeah.
Or Executive East anyway. And that's where I met him. And then, it's a pretty regular customer out. What brought it on was his ticket brings up your customer number. And mine was shockingly low. Like, I can't remember what it was, it was double digits.
Mine is 008.
Yeah. I can't remember what mine was. It's probably on my receipt. I'll have to look.
Number one, Bob Connolly was 001 and Terry Hill was 002. And Terry never let Brian forget that he wasn't 001, even though Brian's original shop started in the basement of Terry's chiropractic office. So I can go back with Brian a little bit further. Brian, before he started his hobby shop, was a manager of a Radio Shack.
Yes, I remember that.
I bought my first PC was a Tandy that I bought from Brian. It's the first computer I had. He sold it to me. So, because I knew him from the club. So, who are you recognizing this episode?
I'm going to recognize Stuart Clark and Anthony Goodman at Scale Model Podcast, because they are the first ones I found and started listening to. And then Stuart actually interviewed me in one of their more recent episodes, and that was kind of fun. And, we've been kicking this idea around a while, and we both kind of thought, boy, we'd love to do it, but we didn't want to do the front end work. But the more I looked into it, the front end work looked tenable, and here we are. But I think those guys kind of certainly got me interested in it, because, I've always had these, I won't even call them delusions of grandeur. That's kind of, that's kind of rich. But, I always thought I would, write some magazine articles or something, or, here I am 50 something now, and I haven't ever done that other than for our club newsletter. I guess I could still do it. I got plenty of life left, I hope. But, this was something that seemed, even after I got into looking at how to do it, seemed, easy, even easier than that. And it's fun. I like doing it, and hopefully we'll be successful at it. And I owe a bit of the inspiration to those guys, and I encourage everybody to tune into their podcast, because I aim to complement what they're doing and not compete with what they're doing, if that makes sense. There's plenty of space out there still. This is not a very dense area of subject matter, and I don't know if our cadence is going to be monthly or what, but we're doing things our way. We've got a way we're doing a show, and they've got their way, and there's just plenty of room. And I know they're got a pretty good support back and forth with the guys in Australia, and that's good. So there's no competition there really. And I hope they receive us the same way. And I really would like to thank those guys for their podcast and inspiring others all around, I think, to model and get off their butts and finish stuff and have fun with the hobby.
Yeah, they're paving the way. There's no question.
They're paving the way. That's right. Well, we are closing in on an hour. Yeah. A little short this week, but not too bad. So I hope 2020 is fruitful for both of us and everybody who's listening to us. And I hope to not be such a stranger in the club. And man, we're going to finish some more stuff, Dave.
That's right. Absolutely. We've got to. You know why?
Well, people are watching now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was going to say. Not sure you realized that when you committed to this.
Oh, that's okay. But that, keeping the mojo alive is the theme, man. And this having some accountability, even in this, doing this podcast is a way to get there. And that's what we're doing.
Yep.
We're already off to a good start.
I agree.
As always, there are so many kits.
And so little time.
All right, Dave, we'll see you next episode. Go finish your vodka.
You got it. Take care.